Welcome back once more to Inside Politics here on KTN News. Many thanks for staying with us. We have been speaking about the Building Bridges initiative and what's been happening inside Parliament, where the handshake team, Jubilee and ODM, have been disagreeing over some committee slots. That is just weeks after having a purge, ODM helping Jubilee to clean up its house, and most of the people affected were political allies of the Deputy President, William Ruto. Now, he has spoken out, broken his silence on it for the very first time, albeit in a very subtle way. Let's listen in.
Kazi nyingi tumetekeleza katika Kenya kwa sababu ya uongozi wa pamoja. Tumejenga reli, tumejenga barabara, tumeunganisha stima, tumeweka maji, tumejenga TTIs, kwa sababu ya kuendesha siasa bila ukabila na bila ya kutenga watu wengine. Hapo ndipo sisi wote inapaswa tuwe. Hata ingawaje kuna changamoto nyingi. Kuna changamoto katika vyama, kuna changamoto katika taifa, lakini sisi wote tujue ya kwamba mahali ambapo tutafaulu ni pale tukifanya kazi kwa pamoja, tukiweka undugu na urafiki kama Wakenya, ndio tuweze kwa pamoja kushughulikia changamoto zetu na mahitaji yetu yote ya maendeleo na yale mengi ambayo tunajitakia kama Wakenya.
The Deputy President was speaking in the county of Nandi on Friday. Let me begin with you, Mark Vichachi. He has remained very measured on this issue. He has spoken very little about it, the purge in Jubilee, that has left a lot of people, guessing what he might be up to. Where do you think he is, politically speaking?
Ruto finds himself between the devil and the deep blue sea, and I'll tell you why. Number one is he wishes he could bolt from Jubilee the way Raila Odinga bolted from KANU in the 2000s to form the Rainbow Coalition. But unfortunately for him, he does not have a quote-unquote righteous cause by which to run from Jubilee, because unfortunately he happens to be the victim of a circumstance where what he's been doing is not exactly what Kenyans would consider progressive. I don't think there's a right-thinking Kenyan who thinks that campaigning for 5 years for an election that happens in one day makes sense. So he is looking for a way of staying inside Jubilee, but also having one foot outside. And the reason why he wants one foot outside is he also understands that for him to campaign come 2022, he has to explain to Kenyans what he did. So he also wants to distance himself from Jubilee so that he can tell people that, you know what, I tried my best, I did my best, but I did not have the power, I was kicked out. Now if you give me a chance, I can run. And that's really the situation he finds himself in. He will continue to play this cloak and dagger game with the president, where in the presence of the president, he'll either be quiet, he'll say, I support you, I respect you. And then just like his comrades have done after, say it's a dictatorship, say it's a betrayal, say it's a stab in the back, the usual games are what are going to play on until as close to the 2022 elections as possible, where I expect and suspect that he'll pull a runner from Jubilee and try to recreate the 2002 moment. At the same time, let me just address issues. That the issue of why it's a referendum, it's not just about Raila Odinga. Mwai Kibaki and Stanley Gido Matiba also went to court to oppose the results of elections in 1992 and 1997. So let's not individualize the BBI. It's not about Raila and Uhuru. It is also about the nation and the culture that we have as a nation.
Husband, do you agree? Husband?
That to a large extent, the Deputy President finds himself in a situation where he's damned if he leaves and he's damned if he stays in Jubilee. And the best he can do is they won a ticket with President Uhuru Kenyatta, and this is the time to serve Kenyans. against the backdrop of the manifesto, that they went around the country telling Kenyans that this is what we are going to do. What we need to see more is delivery of what they promised and less of politicking, less of talking about friends and foes. Because at the end of the day, service delivery does not need friends in government. Neither does it need you to bring all your friends around. But if you're doing that which changes the lives of Kenyans, for the better, you're definitely going to attract friends. In the last few weeks, we've seen what the Deputy President is doing as far as helping people who are suffering the consequences of COVID-19, which is a progressive thing that you'd want to see the Deputy President do. He has also talked about his close allies, being targeted. And I think that's now a dangerous direction to take. The war on corruption is going to touch on everyone who is corrupt, from the recent past happenings that we've seen. And therefore, irrespective of where a political figure lies and who he supports, if the purge on corruption lands on you, who and to the person you're supporting, if the electorate is going to identify that person as identifying with corrupt individuals. As a matter of fact, I think a few guys who have gone out and say that they are being followed because they support the Deputy President have not helped the Deputy President cause. One of them recently allegedly was saying that parliamentary committee members are compromised. And he admitted in front of a camera that if someone gives you 100,000, would you refuse? Now, if that person is pursued and found to be corrupt, irrespective of who that person is supporting, that person needs to be dealt with. Because what Kenyans believe in is that a fight against corruption contributes towards the development agenda, because those resources then will be channeled to things that help Kenyans. But I think, having said that, we live in a country where politics will always take center stage. And it is incumbent upon the electorate and the citizenry to be a lot more critical of the political class and evaluate them on issues and not their pronouncements. Issues that these politicians are attending to that are making the lives of Kenyans better. All right.
Kipchumba, the only thing that the Deputy President said expressly during that burial was that he's being fought, and that can only mean he's not a weak candidate. And then after that, he spoke about, called on Jubilee members to be united. It comes out as playing the waiting game. Is that the case?
I think, Ben, before I answer your question, I need to remind Bichachi something, that despite having a constitution that some of the scholars and politicians referred as a mongrel, Kibaki delivered a better country. He left a better economy, he left a better democracy. So I think we should not lump all our problems to the constitution. We should lump our problems where they belong. Bad leadership gives birth to a bad republic. That is it. So we cannot just continue rolling and crying and tail-wagging about that the constitution is a bad document. No, this is one of the most progressive constitutions we have in this part of the world. So sitting down and just saying because we have a thinking that so and so must be somewhere, we just demonize a constitution that took 21 years to have it is a wrong thing. Back to your question, Ben, on whether what William Ruto meant when he talked about a weak candidate. I think what that statement has been taken out of context from the beginning, because I was in that funeral, being my grandfather's funeral. The thing he was addressing the issue of people being hardworking, and he was saying he is a hard worker himself. That is the reason why he has attracted so many people sitting somewhere to wage a war against him. So I think that is the context of the statement. But as to whether he's been outside or he's been quiet, I think to say that he's been quiet is to manufacture also and to fall in the aspect of the whole scheme of things, because we have seen him severally giving out things to the low lives people, the people who belong to the lower cadre of the economic pyramid of the republic, and on several occasions meeting church leaders. I think that is the right thing to do at this time, because there are several things happening and you might not want to get to get yourself to so many things because there is COVID, there is the protocols around, you cannot go outside. And then again, as a deputy president, that is his mode of operation. I think the president, his principal boss, has not given him anything to do that would have required him to be outside there.
There's this thing being said that the DP is back, but where are his troops? Do you think that is a genuine...
Then maybe we need to expand this question so that we can contextualize the same. We have seen President Uhuru Kenyatta going to various projects, and we have seen him working near alone. Is that to mean that President Uhuru Kenyatta has lost clout? The same with Raila Odinga. We have seen him going in places, but he has always been with Junet alone. Is that to question that he has lost clout? The answer to that question is this. We are in a very funny situation. Okay. There is no church to attend so that you can say we have seen him in 5 churches. He did not turn up. 2, William Ruto is a politician who has withstood so many political seasons, just like Raila Odinga. So many allies have come and left, but he has remained there. So we should ask ourselves, when you say William Ruto has lost allies, who are you comparing him with? We have only seen people trooping to Musalia Mudavadi Center and the other place in Capitol Hill. Are we saying those are political allies? No, the politics of this country is so fluid so that for you to caption it with one picture, you will have lost the whole scheme.
Well said. Dismas, what do you think the purge on Jubilee Party, what impact do you think that purge had on the Deputy President, politically speaking?
Well, before we speak on that purge, you know that a country is about to get into deep trouble. The country is headed south when either the president or the deputy president engages in acts of philanthropy or social responsibility. The president or its deputy are supposed to ensure that they come up with solid policies that the two leaders do not need to engage in any acts of social responsibility or philanthropy. When you see the deputy president giving out sewing machines or giving out food to people, it means that he's in an administration which has failed to ensure that we are food secure. And in any event, we have the COVID National Emergency Fund. Why can't he channel his resources to that fund? Now, the purge both in the National Assembly and the Senate has left the deputy president in a very tight corner that is bleeding. The people that he thought were loyal to him, you see them doing a runner every single day. And you remember for the longest time, the deputy president and his allies, sycophants and team players, they told us they had numbers, and they had numbers in 2 places, both on the ground at the National Assembly and at the Senate. But when the time came, at the right time, the numbers just disappeared into thin air. And if you engage in a basic research, there's a very high probability that William Ruto has made so many visits to central Kenya more than President Kenyatta. There's a very high probability that William Ruto has made so many visits to Western Kenya more than Musalia Mudavadi. But when the numbers are supposed to matter, when the numbers are supposed to come on the scoreboard, the numbers just disappear into thin air. And Kipchumba said that when you say that the deputy president is losing his allies, how do you compare? I mean, what matrix do you use? We saw people who would go to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro in the middle of the night and pledge their loyalty to the deputy president and his cause. But right now, when they face disciplinary committees within Jubilee, they say they have been misquoted. At the voting table, both at the National Assembly and the Senate, they have been aligned. So it's you don't need to compare the deputy president with another person, because right now we only have one deputy president who has been campaigning since he was sworn into office a few years back, and he has spent all his time campaigning for 2022, telling us that in 2022 he's going to perform miracles, but he's not able to perform those miracles now when he's as a deputy. But he wants to make us believe that the person who has frustrated his efforts to deliver is the deputy president, is the president, so that when he becomes president in 2022, he can deliver. And Moran and Wanjiku are asking, right now you are the deputy president, and you've been telling us you got the numbers, both at the National Assembly, Senate, and the ground. Why can't you deliver now, so that you have a track record of success? And then number 2, the deputy president needs to look... Is
it a fact that he has been frustrated by his boss?
Well, you know, that's what he said. That's what he said at the funeral, that people need prayers, that is from the time of the handshake, is being given a backseat, that he doesn't even have a job description. But there are two good examples that he can learn from. One is from Mzee Moi, that during his time as the vice president of Kenya, he played to the drum beats of the boss. You are not supposed to upset your boss. Now, if you go to Nigeria, there's a gentleman called Atiku Abubakar. He decided to ignore or not follow the advice of Obasanjo, and 3 elections later, he's trying to get into office. And in my view, what the deputy president ought to do is to say the least, to remain cool, calm, and collected, and avoid these public pronouncements. Because like what he said at the funeral yesterday, is going to produce a political fodder for people to start engaging in very mischievous conversations. And we are told that in political science, the tongue is very, very powerful. That if you cannot control your tongue, then you cannot control your emotions and you cannot control yourself. There's not a single nation which requires a leader who cannot control himself. And in my view, the deputy president was doing very well when he kept out of these big political functions like the funeral. And you know, in Kenya, funerals have been turned into political functions because most of the time we don't even discuss about the bereaved and their families. We focus on political messages. So he had done very well to keep everybody guessing about his action. But when he spoke yesterday, he spoiled it. And also, he should now go and maybe go back to his sanctum and hide there, keep safe and sanitize and wait for 2022. Because when he comes out and he speaks, he provokes the people who consider him to be a threat to President Kenyatta.
Mark Bichacha, there is a school of thought that says that his troops are just playing a waiting game until it is politically correct, to bring out their true colors. Do you agree with that?
Well, let me tell you something. One of the things about military practice should tell you that if you play war games and you play the lower hand, then you do 2 things. Number 1, you lower the morale of your troops, and number 2, you only train your troops in the act of cowardice. So there is not such tactical retreat that you retreat and you are totally decimated from your ranks, and then you say that it's something that you've retreated from. Secondly, if it's something they wanted, why would they put up such a spirited fight to try and keep their positions? This is the kalongo game, where you say imechapwa, lakini hata sikusikia uchungu, siku anataka kumpiga, unajua mimi ni mtu mzuri. That's the game that's being played here. But to be honest with you, is William Ruto is forced to go back to the drawing board. It seems that the brown envelopes did not buy the loyalty that he expected to buy. Let's not forget, this is not his first loss. He also lost in Kibra. I remember his candidate Mariga failed in that. Boni Khalwale failed to deliver the Luya vote. He was also beaten at the coast when Aisha Juba was unable to secure an MCA position. So a lot of his excursions have not borne the fruit that he expected, and that reality just simply has to be faced. There's no way around it. And if I was his strategist, I would look at him straight in the eye and tell him, it's time to re-strategize, it's time to look around and see who is your ally and find out how you can keep people without necessarily it being about their pockets. Because if it is about their pockets, when their other pocket where they draw salaries is threatened, they will definitely do an about face.
But then again, it would be naive for us to sit here and imagine that William Samoei doesn't have a strategy. William Samoei has got a talent. He's got the gift of the gab. Understand he doesn't enjoy alcoholic beverages, so he can cover the country in a very short space of time. And he's a retail politician. He knows how to create emotional connection with the voters. So for anybody to sit here and imagine that Ruto doesn't have a strategy, that would be erroneous. He would be having so many streams of strategies, and one of them is to make other people believe that in fact he doesn't have a strategy while he's running on a strategy. There is no way you would be born in the middle of Uasin Gishu in what he tells us to be a peasant family, and in a short space of time, you are seated at the top of Kenya's political leadership if you don't have a strategy. So anybody who is planning to run in 2022 and who thinks that they can go and dance on Ruto's funeral, then they'll be shocked in 2022, a big deal.
Hesbon, very quickly, from where you sit, what next for the DP in terms of his political journey?
Well, I think for the DP, I don't think he's sitting in a situation where anyone would want to sit. And even if it was someone else, it would be a lot more complicated like it is. And just like this mother said, it's because he's a shrewd politician that he's managed to navigate the political waters. Now look at it this way. In 2007, he wanted to be the president. He supported Raila Odinga. In 2013, he wanted to be the president. He supported President Uhuru Kenyatta, and they won. And Jubilee became this big thing. And when they won the presidency, the decree was very simple. President Uhuru would do 10 years, and then his deputy, Dr. William Ruto, would do 10 years. And I think that is where the beginning of the complication started for him, because he was assured of a serious political capital going into 2022. Now, where things became complicated is because he hoisted himself to a pedestal as the front runner, and it was a bit obvious from early on that he was going to be a front runner. So he became a very easy target for anyone who also eyes the presidency in 2022. Did he cover himself in glory? I think the verdict is still outside there. There are a number of people who claim that because he was in this assailable position, it got into him and he started behaving like it is not about addressing the issues of Kenyans that Jubilee had promised in 2017. It is about the journey to the presidency in 2022. And I remember the former majority leader in parliament made it clear after they had won the 2017 election that right now my main preoccupation is to ensure that the deputy president becomes the president. And I think it is such pronouncements that didn't augur well with the political class and with the masses that we needed to develop this country to take it a notch higher based on the Jubilee manifesto. Yet the critical people who were together with the president when he was looking for votes to do the same were busy thinking about 2022. And for me, going forward, the deputy president is better placed if he starts the journey of building bridges. He has created so many enemies along the way. He has antagonized so many people. And he has attracted a lot of rivals who are looking at him as the guy to beat in 2022. If he can manage all this and still remain loyal to President Uhuru Kenyatta and help President Uhuru Kenyatta, leave a legacy that Kenyans would remember for a long time, then he stands in a better position. But without that, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult, just like it would have been for any other person who takes a direction of not working with the principal head.
Okay, Kipchumba.
Just something to contextualize for Bichachi something. If William Ruto is as weak as Mark Bichachi makes the panel to think he is, why don't we hear anybody wailing about Kalonzo Musyoka? Why don't we hear anybody wailing about his tribesman Musalia Mudavadi? It is because this fight is because he is the man to beat. And the other thing is this. People don't fight somebody who is weak. People fight the strong because you fight the strong because that is your competition. And finally, the other thing is this. Why William Ruto should go slow is as you call it, is hiding somewhere, is because there is no competition ready. Raila Odinga has not told anybody he's running because from where I sit as a strategist, the only person who can get William Ruto out of wherever he is or wherever he is keeping himself a little bit not busy is a candidate of Raila Odinga's caliber. But the rest, I don't think if they still measure up, to be honest with the panel.
Ben, I think the deputy president is a high-octane politician, and this has been demonstrated over time. Maybe what he needs at this stage quickly is to recruit a talent or ambition manager, because he's got so much talent, he's got so much ambition, that if he's not able to manage the same, it may give him negative consequences. And also for Kipchumba, he needs to remind himself that recently we've seen people sponsoring coups within Ford Kenya. So can we also assume that Wetangula is a strong candidate, given the fact that we are made to believe that some parts of NASA are sponsoring a coup there?
No, those coups are sponsored by the people who have always sponsored something called Luhya Unity. The Luhya Unity that is supposed to be bigger than Corona is the main people who want to host Wetangula and Mudavadi,
right,
and the people who want to impose Oparanya and Eugene Wamalu.
All right. A lot happening in Kenya's political circles, of course. We continue to put that into perspective for you here on the show. This is Inside Politics. Time now for another quick commercial break. We're back with the final round, and we will be waiting to hear from you. Our studio lines will be scrolling at the bottom end of your screen. You can give us a call with your comments and questions. You can have a final say on our debates today here on Inside Politics. Don't go too far.